First of all, I want to say, acknowledge the federal government here with respect to the question on infrastructure. They made a commitment in the budget earlier this year that monies would be flowing. They'd be working aggressively with provinces to get that money out as a part of a stimulus in addition to the infrastructure benefits that would obviously flow from the investment. And that has been the case. True to their word, we've enjoyed I think a fairly speedy and efficacious process to get to the point where we're making some announcements, as you've highlighted, on specifics. With respect to the kind of infrastructure projects that are going to see some support, I would say that the infrastructure deficit right across the country touches every aspect of infrastructure. Yes, highways need attention in our province, and we have increased the highways budget significantly. It's probably true in other provinces, I'm not sure. But we also need to make sure that municipal infrastructure deficit needs are being met. That's really foundational to growth. If we want to continue to grow our economy here, municipalities on the front line of that growth need to be able to supply water to residents and businesses, and they need to deal with wastewater effectively from residents and from businesses. So, it may not be as high profile perhaps politically, but it is every bit as important, and our government is committed to, and I think the federal government's committed to making the important infrastructure investments, whether or not they're better for press releases or not. Well, we're not immune to those difficult economic times. I would say that off the top. And we've seen some impact. There's been layoffs in certain sectors, slowdowns. Certainly, it's something we're very mindful of. But you are right. Comparatively speaking, our economy is strong here. And I think it would be wrong for any government to take credit for that. But we're working hard to convert what has been some good fortune and the blessings of Providence, many would say, into continued momentum. And governments do have a role there. That's why we've invested record amounts in infrastructure. It's why we've moved to lower taxes. We've cut taxes by $700 million in our first 18 months. It's why we're reducing debt. That's also foundational to a good economic plan for the future. We've reduced the debt by 40%. We want to have competitive regulatory environments as well for the province. And you're quite right. Consider this, that in the face of a bash-your-teeth-in recession right around the world, there are more people working today in Saskatchewan than before the recession began. That's the record that you speak of. So we're very grateful of it. We're going to keep our head down, focus on the basics that governments can do, and we know that much of it's outside our hands, and thankfully in the hands of small businesses in our province and larger businesses in our province and the people of Saskatchewan who deserve the credit for this really remarkable economic record over the last number of months. We do have a talent or a people shortage still in the province. There's a labor shortage. I think this morning there was 6,000 jobs available on saskjobs.ca. Our first priority, by the way, here is to fully engage, to a greater extent engage First Nations and Métis people in the province. There is structural unemployment there at higher levels than for non-First Nations, non-Métis people, which is not acceptable. So I know we'll be talking about that a little bit later, about the importance of training programs with respect to First Nations and Métis people in our province. But yes, we also need to augment that effort with more citizens, new Saskatchewan citizens, new rider fans. And so we've set some aggressive targets for immigration, and you mentioned 10,000. We will reach that target, I believe, and this is significant because I think from 2001 to 2006 or 7, the total number of immigrants was about 6,000 to 8,000 people in that range, depending on what year you're talking about at the end date. So 10,000 in a year is significant, and it's part of a government being more aggressive. And again, here I'll say about the federal government, they have been good to work with. So we've been able to carve out a unique relationship there to attract new residents to our province.